Don't we all want to improve and optimize our decision-making capacity to have better outcomes? Using artificial intelligence, also called AI, may be a solution. But will AI eventually take over our jobs? How can we use artificial intelligence? What is true about AI? What's hype? And what is realistic to expect from artificial intelligence in business and for coaches? Welcome to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Katrina Birus, and today we have Kavita Ganesan.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So, Kavita, you're a specialist in AI. How did you get involved into that area?
So my history with AI goes back to 2005 when I was pursuing my master's degree in computer science. So I joined a university where they had a really good AI research going on. And that's where I was introduced to this whole world of algorithms and intelligent algorithms. And I was hooked. So I did my master's degree. Then I went back and did my Ph.D. in the field in AI, applied AI, at a different university because I wanted to stay very much in the AI space. And as I was about to graduate, so data science as a field really started to take off. And this was like in 2013. And so I jumped in and I started solving a bunch of industry AI problems. And at the same time, different companies were calling me to help them do AI at their companies and more on a consulting capacity. And that's how I got more and more into consulting from working for different companies.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So tell us what's true, what's hype, and what's realistic to expect from AI in business.
Yeah. So what is true is that AI is a powerful tool in business. It can help us in different ways. Like it can help reduce the amount of human errors that are made within operations. It can help improve the efficiency of certain processes like in customer service. And it can also help you make better and more sophisticated data-driven decisions. So there are a lot of practical applications of AI. And what's not true about AI is that it's going to take over almost all our jobs in the next few years. And I know that celebrities are propelling these ideas and media has also taken on to it, but I don't think it's true to the extent that you are hearing in the media.
Okay, so it can help in a lot of different ways, but it's not going to overtake the job of people.
Unless your job is like very single dimensional and you're doing a repetitive task over and over again, and that's all you do, then it's easy to replace that person with software automation. And it doesn't even have to be AI. It can be just simple software automation. But usually we are hired into jobs where we have multiple things to do. We have to collaborate with teams. We have to do the higher level quality assurance. So our jobs are not really one dimensional.
Yes, so the complexity or doing multiple things is harder to do it with AI. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, because AI cannot plan itself and collaborate with your manager and collaborate with colleagues and do the managerial job that you are doing. So, but AI can do some of your tasks really well and augment your workflow.
Great. How can specifically AI help coaches?
Yeah, so AI can help coaches in different ways. So now you're hearing a lot about the type of AI like ChatGPT in the media. So you can use tools like that for idea generation. So for example, if you want to recommend a LinkedIn marketing strategy for your clients, but you need a starting point. So maybe you ask ChatGPT for, hey, give me some ideas around LinkedIn marketing. So it can generate anything because it basically is trained to generate content. So it might give you a starting point of ideas to work from. So you're not going to use what ChatGPT recommends, but it sparks something in your brain that'll give you ideas that you can then recommend to your clients. So that's one use case for coaches.
Yes, I heard that some students, they write their papers that way. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. You can write like high school level essays using tool like ChatGPT, but these essays are not very good. It's just like words generated. It may not be factual. You actually want high school students to write better quality essays, but it can give you a starting point.
Great.
So that's one use case. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I know I've heard that there are softwares there and AI that can determine the breathing of the person, their level of anxiety by the intonation of their voice, so they can determine the emotional state. What do you think of that?
So AI systems like that are in use on a small scale, but there are a lot of ethical implications to it because you're actually listening to the person's really feelings and you're picking up on that and then trying to make decisions on their emotions. And that has some moral considerations for a company. However, I've seen that some companies use tools like that in hiring, which you can do it, but still it's a questionable thing. So you'll have to see what your stance is in your company if you want to use AI in a way that makes people comfortable, or you don't want people to feel any level of distrust with your company.
Right. Absolutely. And so, what about using AI specifically for corporations? And what different ways can it be used?
So, in corporations, if you take just one area, like one industry, let's say manufacturing. So, an area where AI is really, really useful is in defect detection in manufacturing lines. Because those defects, for example, if you're looking for defects in a chip, those defects are so small that a human eye can easily miss. However, an AI system can see this really, really minute details that a human may miss. And it can capture those details and it significantly makes the human's life much easier. So it can say, these are the errors, just verify, and then the amount of work the human has to do is significantly less. So it basically improves the whole productivity of the production line. So imagine how many more parts they can manufacture because you're saving so much time in trying to detect these defects. So that's one use case, yeah.
You also say a AI discovery framework, and you have 4 steps to uncover AI opportunities for your business. Can you mention the 4 steps?
Yeah, so AI discovery framework is a way to come up with high impact AI initiatives that you want to implement either by building from scratch or buying an off the shelf tool. So it has 4 steps to it. The first step is identifying potential AI initiatives. So basically going through your ideas and trying to find out which ones are really AI ideas. And AI ideas have very specific characteristics. They often solve complex decision-making problems. So for example, a problem that requires you to look at maybe 1,000 different data points and then render one decision. And you have to do this on a case by case basis. So this is in effect a complex problem. And it also wants you to think about the business worthiness of the idea, because in business, you don't just want to solve a complex problem, it should also make business sense. So then I provide an approach to look at it from a business angle. So is this repetitive? Is this high volume? So then it starts to make, hey, this is going to make some business sense because it's going to either save some time or it's going to boost our revenue. So that's essentially step 1.
And so step 1 on the business side, AI can come look at the data, and you mean the human to decide whether it's a business opportunity or not. Is that right?
Yes, the human decides whether it's a good AI opportunity or not. But the problem itself can be like in fraud detection. So let's say credit card fraud, you'll have to look at the current transaction value, previous transaction value, location, and a lot of different data points to decide whether a transaction is fraudulent or not. So this is in effect a complex problem. So that's the type of problem you want to find and categorize as a potential AI problem. And because you have to do it on a repetitive basis, it also starts to make business sense. So this is a good candidate for AI. So that is step one.
Step one. Now step two.
Step two is about framing this problem with sufficient details. So basically saying what are the benefits of solving these problems. So maybe in the short term and in the long term. So by articulating the benefits, you will actually see how to measure it once it's implemented within your workflow. So let's say it's going to save you time and you need to have the relevant metrics that you want to measure. So framing is all about documenting this idea with sufficient detail and preferably with quantifiable values. So you can use it for measurement. And then step 3 and 4 is about how to prioritize. So let's say you have 10 potential AI initiatives. So which ones should you go after? And that can be based on the availability of the building blocks for each initiative, the benefit each initiative provides. You can use different ways to rank the initiatives, and I describe that a lot in my book. I actually provide a framework called I2R2, which is about whether it's implementation ready. The second one is the impact size. The third one is if their ROI is clear. And the fourth is what is the risk if the initiative fails? So maybe you want to go for all the low risk projects that are high impact. So that's what this framework is about in step 3 and 4. And step 3 and 4 is all about figuring out how you're going to implement it and how do you involve the AI experts, what they're going to prioritize. So that's what these last 2 steps are about.
I see. So it's a real structured process to go through.
Yes. So what I've done is I've taken the process that I use intuitively and provided that into repeatable steps so that anyone who does not have an AI background can use that and get results from AI.
And your book is called The Business Case for AI.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And you can find it on Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm. Amazon and Walmart, Target, so all the common retailers.
So yes. And so give us a little bit of examples. Which types of companies are very interested in this and have implemented it in their businesses?
Yeah, so right now, I think the majority of companies that use AI are either in the tech industry, like internet type companies, or they are in finance. I see that slowly AI is making its way more and more into healthcare, a lot more into healthcare, and into some of the manufacturing companies like BMW, Mercedes-Benz. They are actually buying my books and using it with their AI teams just to get ideas on where they can use this, how, and using those repeatable frameworks.
What about healthcare? How do they use it? Can you give us specific examples?
Yeah, so one very common example is in cancer research. So just in the problem of tumor detection. So trying to find tumors in CT scans can be very tricky. So an AI system using what's called computer vision can actually go in and try to detect the segments that it thinks are tumor segments. So then when a physician actually looks at the CT scan, they can decide if really they think that's a tumor. So they just verify what the AI is already labeled for them. So it saves them a lot of time and it prevents burnout among the physicians because they're not sitting down and trying to circle out each small tumor that they see. So that's a very real example.
And what about in finance?
In finance, a lot of AI is used in the fraud detection side. And I think it's a very good use case of AI because of the volume of transactions happening and the amount of work it takes to make those decisions. Yeah, so that's one big area for in finance. And also in stock movements, trying to predict stock movements is also a big area where they use what's called natural language processing, where they try to use the sentiment of people on a day-to-day basis to predict how the stocks are going to move. Yeah. So because as one tweet can make stocks fall. So they try to capitalize on those capabilities.
So they look at all the social media. They look at what kind of data do they use?
You can use news data. You can use social media. You can use comments from all these forums, financial forums. You can even track places like Reddit, where there's a lot of financial talk going on. So the sources can be very varied.
Really?
Yeah.
And how do you think in the future AI will affect the coaching community?
I think the coaching community may already be using AI in their daily workflow. So for example, I use a lot of AI for proofreading or copy editing the blogs that I write. Because all those little details like punctuation and you forgetting putting a comma, that it's very easy for us to miss. But an AI system can quickly say, hey, you forgot your comma here, you forgot your semicolon here. So that's a very common
Grammarly.
use case.
Grammarly,
yeah. A tool like Grammarly.
Wonderful tool.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful tool. And also for idea generation, maybe you wrote an email, you don't like how it sounds, and you want to sound more friendly. So you could use an AI tool to rephrase your whole email. And that saves you a lot of time because you don't have to think about how to do it. An AI system can do it for you.
So what kind of AI system can do that? Oh, I want to be more friendly.
Oh, you can actually prompt a tool like ChatGPT. There are a lot of different generative AI tools. So one example is ChatGPT. If you prompt it to say, hey, can you please rewrite this email in a more friendly form? It will try to do it. It might not be exactly how you want it, but it's a starting point for you to work from.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. And what about in the tools you have at home? Because I know there's some fridge will have a camera to identify exactly everything that's moving and make a list for you and things like that.
Yes, those are very powerful tools. Those use a lot of voice recognition, where it turns your voice into text and then text into commands that you execute. Yeah, there's a lot of use cases for AI there. And even in your Fitbit, you have some AI going on. So it knows that you're swimming. It knows that you're running. And how does it do it? Through some form of AI, most probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. And what about Alexa and all that? Don't they use AI?
They use a lot of AI, yes, for voice recognition and then translating your voice to text and then text to commands. All of that requires what's called natural language processing, which is a branch of AI that understands human language and tries to make sense of it. Like even ChatGPT is basically a huge NLP type application.
Really? NLP application. Very interesting. Well, we're coming to the end of our podcast. Very interesting to see how the technology can be used in multiple different ways. AI of the technology. I'm not surprised that the technological companies are using it a lot. They're right in the field.
Yep.
So thank you very much, Kavita. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Katrina. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Excellent Executive Coaching Podcast. You can subscribe to all future podcasts at excellentexecutivecoaching.com. Join us each Wednesday to learn more about the latest trends in leadership techniques and bring your coaching to the next level. To learn more about Dr. Burris's CEO Mastermind, use the contact form at excellentexecutivecoaching.com.